All right, so we've got two cold fronts moving in over the Cape overnight. The rest of the country likely to be impacted into the weekend. There are concerns about flooding and strong winds in the Western Cape. And to tell us more, I'm joined by Colin Deiner, head of the Western Cape's Disaster Management and Fire Rescue. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what the South African Weather Service is telling you about what these cold fronts are going to bring.
Hi, Sally. Well, what we've heard from them is obviously after today's very heavy rain that we had is we're going to have cold temperatures tonight. Tomorrow it's going to start raining quite early in the morning, around about 4 o'clock, and that's going to carry on through the morning. But what they have said to us is by tomorrow afternoon it'll have cleared up, and we're looking at better weather during the weekend. But obviously, cold weather. But I think the rain, from what we've heard, will probably subside by tomorrow afternoon.
So when you say we, do you mean Western Cape or Cape Town?
Most of the concentration has been in Cape Town and the Cape Winelands, so the Stellenbosch, Drakensberg area. That's where we've had the most of our problems in terms of response today, and that's what we've been told is going to be the situation into the rest of the weekend.
All right, so rain is going to continue into Friday, but it will eventually clear up. Are there any areas that have had trouble so far?
Yes, we've had quite a lot of flooding in Guguleto, Macassar Village, and in Philippine East. But I must also say, as I speak, that there are still assessments going on. We've had quite a couple of roads in the city that have been flooded, and our roads, the city's roads department, are dealing with that. And then we also had a bit of a flood situation at the Newlands Cricket Ground.
All right, so you've had some problems. Are there any areas that you're closely monitoring overnight into Friday that could have flooding?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a couple of areas where we have what we call localized flooding. But I think what's also good is that when Weather Services gives us a report, they do what's called a risk-based weather report. And that pretty much means that they tell us not only where it's going to rain, but what the possible impact will be. And so we are looking at specifically the areas that have already, had quite a bit of flooding. So obviously, those are areas at risk. And so the City Bowl area, the city itself, and then obviously going into the Cape Winelands area, I think those are the areas that we are closely monitoring.
All right, and you mentioned areas such as Guguleto and Macassar as well have had flooding, so I suppose those are also under careful watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
So I think
tell us about, have there been any casualties? Has anyone lost their homes in this flooding?
So there's been no casualties that we know of at this stage. None have been reported. Obviously, the first period after a rainstorm like this, it's where the emergency services really come in. So we haven't had any of that at this stage. Obviously, there's been a lot of localized flooding, which means there's been flooding of homes, etc. And the city has got a very good system as far as the the NGOs and the humanitarian agencies are concerned, and they've started coming in and have been assisting us, in helping people with relief. But fortunately, at this stage, we haven't had any casualties.
And what about the second cold front? Because the Weather Service has been saying, well, there's two cold fronts. Have they come on the back of each other, so it's essentially one big cold front? Or is there going to be another cold period and a rainy period, perhaps?
No, what we've heard is, and the information that we've received is that it's pretty much going to be until tomorrow, around about tomorrow afternoon, and then for the rest of the weekend it's going to be fine. So we're not expecting over the weekend a further kind of, second front with more rain. So I think it's probably going to be very close on each other through the night and then through tomorrow.
All right. And what are you hearing? We know that Cape Town weather tends to move up country to us within a few days. Are you able to give us an idea of what the rest of the country can expect?
Yeah, Sally, so I think the issue at this stage is that, it's different weather patterns or different weather systems. So while we are obviously now within our winter season, which is our rainy season, up north it becomes... now you're pretty much going into more of a drier season. So we haven't heard any warnings. I know the National Disaster Centre, who sends us warnings periodically, haven't given any warnings for that area. So I think at this stage, the big concern is really down here in the Western Cape.
All right, so we can probably look forward to some rather chilly weather up country, but hopefully no emergencies. Well, good luck overnight and into Friday, and let's hope there's no more flooding. We do appreciate you chatting to us. That was Colin Deiner, head of the Western Cape's Disaster Management and Fire Rescue.